Well, well, everybody. This is an interesting one. You guys sent me this in the Discord, and it seemed to have a lot of reactions, indicating that people wanted me to react to it, so I figure I'll go ahead and give it a watch. Now, every time I cover Hasan in a critical way, I get a lot of shit for it. People love Hasan. And if you're a Hasan fan, I'm not trying to hate on you. I don't think, like, you are a bad person if you watch Hasan's content and enjoy him. Though there is a sector of Hasan's community that has been left unacknowledged and unaddressed that I take actual issue with. That being the hardcore tanky portion of his community. Hasan doesn't exactly have a problem with them being there and has catered to them harder and harder as time goes by. Most notably with his takes on Russia and Ukraine. Dylan Burns actually did a really good video in which he brought some ex-Hasan fan Ukrainians together to respond to some of Hasan's claims about Russia's invasion of Ukraine being justified, and had them kind of like debunk the misinformation and the lies and that were, you know, literally just Russian state propaganda. And it was a very good video. Hasan's response was to call Dylan Burns a war tourist pervert for making a video like calling out misinfo he'd spread. Not even in like a hostile way. It was a very friendly, charitable video to Hasan, because they were Hasan fans, or ex-Hasan fans. And so, Hasan basically called Dylan a war tourist pervert for that. Like, seeming to know that Dylan does journalism in war zones, but decided to call it war tourism. Weird, but okay. I criticized him for that, and then recently, funnily enough, my video criticizing Hasan for that came back around in the algorithm, or not in the algorithm, but in the relevance sphere, because recently Hasan doxed Dylan Burns on his stream, totally on accident, for sure, make no mistake, but because he, I don't think, realized what he did, he tried to play it off and pretended like he didn't know who Dylan Burns was. Meanwhile, I've got a whole video where I'm responding to Hasan slandering Dylan Burns. There's like a clip compilation that has now been put together of Hasan slandering Dylan Burns, and then recently he claims he has never heard of him and doesn't know who that is, in order to cover up his having doxed Dylan Burns on stream. Listen, we don't get along with Hasan too well here. We got our reasons though, okay? We're not some deranged liberals, alright? We're not some crazed Nazis that just have an issue with Hasan when Hasan is based. Hasan is based sometimes, let's be clear. However, when Hasan isn't based, oh boy, can he be very, very unbased. Which is why this video definitely has caught my attention, and the attention of many, many others in the last 4 days it's been out, since it's gone viral, apparently. It's called the Hasan Piker effect. No idea if this will be a pro or anti-Hasan video, to be honest, so I don't know what I'm signing up for here. Let's go in, fully blind. Boop, peekaboo, there I am. If you enjoyed this video, by the way, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and hype this video if you want to support it in the algorithm. It really does help a lot, and the AI algorithm demons these days are especially demonic, so it means more than ever when you guys do that. I appreciate it. Without any further ado, let's get into it.
The radical left seems to be getting more depraved every day. Now, the latest display, the Young Turks contributor, Hasan Piker, going on this vulgar rant, mocking a wounded war vet for losing his eye fighting for our freedom in Afghanistan.
God, that is such an unk drama, man. Like, if any of you remember when that happened, congratulations, you're unk.
Piker has to be one of the most interesting online influencers I've ever come across. The more I look into him, the more confused I get.
Champagne socialist streamer Hasan Piker
says he was detained at a U.S. airport for hours this weekend and questioned by U.S. Customs and Border Protection.
I'm gonna be real, I'm not a big fan of the fact that I can just tell from the majority of these sound clips that these are conservative outlets reporting on Hasan. And listen, I'm not a fan of Hasan. I'm not. But, like, conservatives are genuinely deranged about Hasan. A feat that is surprising when the person they're deranged about is themselves so problematic, you know?
About his political beliefs specifically on Gaza and President Trump.
So I looked into the story. It turns out that Hasan Piker is a liar.
A Homeland Security official acknowledged the incident, telling us, quote, "This is nothing but lying for likes."
Yeah, it is true. Hasan getting held up by Border Patrol and questioned for his political beliefs was complete bullshit. That was a completely routine like situation. He ended up getting like called out on that pretty hard because he misrepresented the situation pretty bad. Did I see a few frames of Asmongold there? Oh, for sure.
I honestly can't tell if he's an absolute genius who figured out how to build a following through emotions, or if he is just someone who's simply part of the outrage mob, but got a platform because of his natural charisma and wealth. On one hand, he speaks with the confidence of someone who knows exactly what he is doing and saying, completely self-aware of the lies and deceit. But on the other, his worldview is so reactionary and shallow that I honestly can't tell if it's intentional strategy or self-deception. Maybe it's somehow both at the same time. This tension is exactly what fascinates me about him, and this is why I am making this video. Because whether it's intentional manipulation or not, the result is the same. A massive online following built almost entirely on outrage, certainty, and a total rejection of nuance. An audience that, in my eyes, actually needs help.
Damn, okay. We're getting extreme with the claims here.
It is pretty clear that we live in a day where people are naturally drawn to confirmation bias. People just want to hear what
I don't know. I know this is completely off topic, but I just realized we are definitely going to get a video from Internet Comment Etiquette in the next couple days called Kicking Charlie Kirk While He's Down. I cannot wait for it.
confirms their beliefs at the expense of seeking truth. They want to hear from other people who carry the same hatred and perceived injustice on this world. And they want to hear someone who has solutions, sometimes not caring how extreme the solutions can be. And I believe this is what makes Hasan Piker so effective for a lot of people. He taps into something very real people face, especially those with very strong victim mentalities. There is so much frustration, anger, and a need for clarity in this world for so many people, especially young people. But sadly, instead of his audience finding someone who guides them towards understanding, or even toward a desire to seek truth and healing, Hasan leads them toward a weird certainty on what they already believe, that they are justified to hate the world. Instead of encouraging thought, he rewards reaction. And this is so much easier.
This is actually a pretty good breakdown of it. Something I've noticed that's really consistent with Hasan's audience and his rhetoric is that everything is framed as another piece of evidence that everything that they already believe is true. Like, why do you need to put in work researching anything that has to do with the politics that you believe in when, like, supposedly every news event, when twisted in the way that they see it, is just more evidence that they're right about everything, you know? It's like, oh, a new thing happened in the news, react to it. The right is at fault here. Not even the right, or it'll usually be like liberals or something are at fault here, or this is just America or the West being evil. All political parties are the same. Everything is just doom and gloom constantly. What's really wild about it, and what I think is so effective, is that Hasan made dooming fun. He made being a doomer on the left fun. Because the thing about if he was just a nonstop doom and gloom content creator about the left's future, he wouldn't get anywhere. He would die out real fast in terms of relevance. But Hasan doesn't just get all doom and gloom. He definitely plays into like the left is doomed, the right is winning, Democrats can't win, there's no point in voting stuff. But he then turns it into, and that is exactly what the Democrats deserve. Had they not done so much to stop socialism, then they would have won. So the more horrible things that happen, the more horrible things that are inevitable, we at least get to point and laugh at the liberals, because it's actually all their fault, and they're the ones who suffer the most. That they basically turned being a doomer leftist into something fun, because at the very least, the liberals are suffering. That seems to be where a lot of the enjoyment for them comes from.
For a lot of people to digest. Most people don't like to be told that they are wrong, but we all need to know that we can be wrong at times in our lives. We need to always try to kill the pride that is in us, and we need to stay teachable. And if we only surround ourselves with people that confirm what we already believe, hate what we already hate, and ostracize those who threaten to bring nuance or perspective into our lives, we are doing a major disservice to ourselves and those around us. Why? Because if we're not teachable, we stay stuck in life. No one knows everything, and if we believe we can't be wrong, then we have already failed in life. People respect those who can listen, reflect, and change when it matters. No one respects a leader who doesn't own his mistakes. So what happens when a creator builds their platform not on truth, but on tribal loyalty? Not on critical thinking, but emotional alignment? When the goal isn't actually to inform, but to...
I mean, this is most conservative creators. The reason why it's so notable with Hasan is that he's like the one big motherfucker on the left doing this, like, conservative style of, like, audience captured, like, I wouldn't call it grifting, but, like, pandering. And conservatives have mastered this. It's the entire basis of their brand. That is also true of Hasan. You just don't see that much on the left, especially not among, like, very large platformed socialists.
Firm views, to constantly reinforce or grossly exaggerate what the audience already believes, already feels, and already wants to be true. Someone who so confidently lies because they know their audience won't try to seek the truth or hold them accountable to what they say. And also, I know this might sound naive, but I actually feel sorry for people who build an audience the way that Hasan has. Because what if, at some point, he wants to bring a level of nuance? What if he finally sees how much damage he has done? How he's helped push young, vulnerable people toward political extremism? What if he wants to change? I don't think he has any room to change and keep his platform at the same time. And I think he knows this, because if he tries to pivot, if he tries to speak with real complexity...
Real as fuck. He's so audience captured. He damn well knows. I've seen how Hasan fans react when you criticize the stuff Hasan says. If Hasan himself walked back the shit he said, the most rabid, not the majority, but the most loud minority, rabid, tanky psychos within his audience that, unfortunately, he made the mistake of not filtering out, as a responsible creator should, they will turn on him. And I think he knows that. I think he knows that he is permanently audience captured, that the massive platform he has is not, it isn't unconditional. In fact, the conditions on maintaining this platform are very, very, very constricted. I don't know how much of what Hasan says on a daily basis he really believes, but I'll tell you that if he ever changed his rhetoric, there would be consequences.
The very audience he built will turn on him. He's trapped in the world he created. The system Hasan has built demands absolute consistency, and I believe that the system will eventually start devouring itself and the person who built it. Not just Hasan Piker, but what he represents. The influencer who becomes the prisoner of his own audience.
True.
Palestinians have the legal ground to violently seize back their own homes from these settlers.
So for those who don't know who Hasan Piker is, let me introduce him quickly. Hasan started out as a contributor for the Young Turks, a progressive news outlet known for its left-wing slant and confrontational style. He quickly became a recognizable face, but not really due to deep policy insight, but because he was young, confident, and knew how to speak in a way that grabbed the attention of other young people. Eventually, he moved to Twitch, and that's where everything took off for him. Funny enough, he wasn't really offering detailed analysis or long-form breakdowns of politics. He was just reacting to news in real time, getting angry, making jokes, and keeping his audience emotionally engaged, all under the premise of being some self-proclaimed journalist, or should I say a self-proclaimed propagandist.
As far as
I've talked about this before, the right's really good at this. You get people really angry with your content, and they can't help but comment, like, or even dislike, and that engagement alone is enough to propel you into the stratosphere. Hasan used this, farming haters to get more engagement, farming the engagement to get more impressions, and farming those impressions to get more views. And those views got him a lot of money. Once he had a lot of money, it opened up doors for him to do things that most people can't do for content, which of course, you know, there's a lot of types of content that streamers and YouTubers can do, but they have to be rich first. Like, once a creator becomes rich, it becomes arguably way easier for them to stay viral, because they can do the kind of stuff that only a small handful of people have the money to do for content. And then from there, Hasan was like unstoppable, right?
me being a propagandist goes, everyone is a propagandist. I'm just honest about it.
A big part of his appeal was aesthetic. He looked the part, he sounded like the people watching him, and he said what they were already feeling. He came across as a relatable left-wing alternative.
All right, I'm gonna be real. No way do the average Hasan viewers look and sound like Hasan. Hasan is, for all my criticisms of him, pretty Chadly. I do not believe the majority of his viewers look like him. Like, many of his viewers are women, for starters.
To the mainstream, someone who wasn't bored or wasn't boring or wasn't even afraid to be blunt. So his following grew fast, a mix of progressives, socialists, and disillusioned young people. Not necessarily people looking for depth, but people looking for someone who gets it. Someone who sounds like their side is finally winning. But once you understand how Hasan rose to prominence, it becomes clear why he was so effective, and it has very little to do with ideas. Hasan doesn't win arguments, he wins reactions.
Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
His entire approach is
I don't really take issues with like the essence or even the words of what Hasan says in these clips. It's more like when you're a content creator, I guess your barometer, your radar for like disingenuous, pandering acting on camera gets really good. It's like I feel you guys might imagine that like watching movies today, you might not be the best gauge of what acting is good or bad acting, but if you became an actor and took acting classes, you feel like you'd probably be able to spot it pretty well. In that same way, being a content creator, seeing someone be very blatantly, at least in my view, pandering and performative, it just makes me cringe. It comes off as very disingenuous, and all these clips of Hasan, even if I don't necessarily disagree with what he's saying, the big problem is I can tell he's playing it up hard. He's playing it up to try and get claps from an audience of people who he wants to validate the opinions of, because he wants to earn their approval at the end of the day.
Is built on emotional manipulation, outrage, sarcasm, mockery, and tribal language.
You stupid There's a reason why he's not on the platform!
Hasan, thank you for being angry so I don't have to be all the time.
He doesn't engage in thoughtful
there you
disagreements.
go.
He frames issues in a way that makes his audience feel like they're right without ever needing to prove it.
Do you think that that is a misfire from a rocket? Because I've shown you the misfires from Hamas rockets. It does not look like that.
Throughout the years, it has been clear that anger has been his primary tool.
Apartheid defending, bloodthirsty, genocidal freak. Please stop, you're not making any good arguments. No, the only reason why I'm not making any good arguments to you is because you are transphobic, and that's the unfortunate reality, and it's probably not going to change.
Never reason or
The big, I don't know if you guys know about that, but Hasan got canceled by his trans fans about 1.5 years ago because he debated one of the most notorious TikTok transphobes and bombed. And then when his fans were like, hey, listen, Hasan, we appreciate the thought. We do. But like, that debate was such a bad performance with such a massive platform. It might be best not to do trans debates in the future. Like you're not a Vosh at trans debates, I believe was one of the comments. And Hasan's response was to crash out. He did not like when his trans fans were like, listen, man, we love you, but like, that's not your strong suit. And this is an issue of like how our entire like demographic is perceived when it comes to a platform this big. Like, you got to be responsible and win debates that serious, or don't do them at all. And Hasan did not like that.
or logic, not even evidence.
Where they're literally breaking records after records, not just participating. Wrong. You are wrong. You are making that up. You have read like 3 articles from like 3 random.
Unfortunately, the left has not handled the trans athlete issue that well. I feel like there's been a tendency to deny a lot of the descriptive claims the right has made, when many of those descriptive claims, and oftentimes can be true, all because they don't want to be pigeonholed into agreeing with the prescriptive claim they make about it. You don't have to disagree with the reality that Leah Thomas has won top times in several areas of swimming. You don't have to disagree with that claim to also disagree with their prescriptive statement that trans women and trans men should not be allowed to compete in the team that they identify with gender-wise. Like, we gotta be more, like, we gotta be willing to bite the bullet on certain descriptive statements and then really lock in to fight against the prescriptive statements the right makes about them. Unless the said descriptive statement is a complete lie.
Edge cases, you are wrong.
Just anger, loud, confident, and pretty constant.
My issue as a trans person is the fact that you, a guy that isn't super well versed on trans, brought on a known transphobe, knowing he might bring up transphobic shit. You aren't exactly a Vosh at trans debates. I hope that the rest of your life is as horrible as it is every single day. Okay, there you go. Suck my dick. I despise you.
That was a fan of Hasan's who is trans, by the way. I love this person, Vosh, LOL. Listen, me and Vosh, not friends anymore, burned the bridge a while ago, don't think highly of him. There are few people on the internet as competent as he is at debating specifically transphobia. Like, this person just doesn't know what they're talking about and has probably never seen Vosh debate a transphobe. And I'm not a hater, okay? Call me what you will, but I'm not a hater. All right? I can compliment those that I dislike. I've complimented Hasan a couple times in this video, and this is all about criticizing him.
I despise you more than anything else on the planet. You are fucking cancer, okay? You are cancer.
What happened between Zan and Vosh? Several things, but what really cemented never rebuilding the bridge, like, the things that did burn the bridge could have been repaired, like, it could have been back to normal by now, but what really prevented that was when Vosh leaked his porn folder. Google what was in his porn folder.
Cancer in this community, and you're cancer in every community. Suck my dick. For the past 15 months, you've been able to fucking hide in these ranks. You catboy. Move your catboy ass out of here. You are never welcome. You are never going to be unbanned. No matter how difficult it is, no matter how much you want to get unbanned, it will never unban you. You are now banished into the fucking shadow realm.
Take his infamous quote.
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
That wasn't some bold, nuanced critique of US foreign policy. It was just a blunt provocation, designed to shock, offend, and stir up the exact kind of emotional response that fuels his brand. Or even his...
Yeah, but the defense line is so fucking silly for this, too. Like, I've mentioned Hasan saying this, and people are like, yeah, but America did deserve 9/11. We did so much bullshit. And it's like, okay. That's not what Hasan meant when he said America deserved 9/11. Hasan believes ideologically that America is fundamentally evil, and that its acts across the board are an overall evil to the world, and that morally, Americans and America... not specifically America as an idea, Americans deserve to suffer the consequences of any number of things that maybe we all agree, or just some agree, are atrocities or bad actions committed by America. No, the Americans in the World Trade Center did not deserve 9/11, which is what Hasan was saying. Hasan was arguing that no one should believe 9/11 was a tragedy due to U.S. foreign policy. And no, I do not believe that American citizens, just random civilians, should incur the consequences of politicians who made political decisions decades ago that you could argue trickled down, quote unquote, or, you know, pun intended, by the way, into what we have today with the modern era of terrorism. So, I don't know. Hasan saying that was very easy to defend on his part, but I promise you, he did not mean the more defensible, like, meaning of what he said. Like, he's Motte Baileying on this issue, and every other, clip he's gotten canceled for.
Offend and stir up the exact kind of emotional response that fuels his brand. Or even his calls to kill your landlords.
Well, my understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them! Kill those mother...
Obviously exaggerated, but again, that's the point. This is why his content works
It's just meant to make you clap.
So well in the algorithm. Emotion is so contagious. It spreads faster than facts. It's easier to process than complexity or humility. It gives people a sense of moral superiority without ever requiring them to wrestle with uncomfortable truths or competing perspectives. It is really good to feel like you're on the right side, and feeding that together with a like-minded crowd, that's something else. That's the power of emotional manipulation, and Hasan uses it constantly, and I find it impressive how people are so blind to it, especially his own audience. This emotional framing goes hand in hand with another major pattern in Hasan Piker's content, the constant oversimplification of complex issues. Almost everything he covers is reduced to a binary. There's always a clear victim and a clear oppressor. One side is entirely right, and the other is entirely wrong. There's no middle ground, and of course, no nuance. No room for difficult questions or moral complexity. In fact, you're not really supposed to ask questions because it threatens the shallow foundations the system is built on. One of the clearest and, for me, most disturbing examples of this was Hasan's response to the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israeli civilians. There were confirmed reports of rape and horrific brutal assaults during the massacre. And instead of acknowledging that with any kind of clarity or condemnation, Hasan said that it doesn't matter if rape happened.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much.
If you don't see this as problematic, you are part of the problem. Both Israel and Hamas are committing atrocities that are morally unacceptable in any shape or form. And if you can't acknowledge that, you need to take a back step and adjust your value of human life. Hasan's and his audience's perspective on this.
But people have gotten so brain rotted, and all they understand are slogans and talking points. They don't understand what beliefs, what ideas led to them. And so a really common one is when you say something like both Israel and Hamas are committing inexcusable atrocities, lefties immediately go, both sides, forgetting entirely that the point of making fun of someone for pulling of both sides is when one side is objectively far less evil than the other side, and centrists pretend like it's a moral equivalent. That is not applicable to Hamas and the IDF. Both sides in this case are genuinely pure evil. Do you want me to bring up the stats on how many Palestinians Hamas has killed? Their hands are not clean of Palestinian blood. Make it no mistake. There's a reason why there is no other political party in Gaza. Because Hamas killed them. They're 6 feet fucking under. Hamas got to them before Israel could. Like, they're both evil. How many have they killed? It's quite a few, actually. Like, more than I expected. Do you want me to bring up the stat? I don't have it on hand right now. Number of Palestinians killed by Hamas. I do not trust the AI overview. We're not reading that. How about Amnesty International? Palestinians tortured summarily killed by Hamas forces during 2014 conflict? Tortured and summarily killed? That's an article, not what I'm looking for, but apparently that happened, I guess. Evil. Let's see. Palestinian death toll passes 64,000 in Gaza. This was on September 4th, 2025. Good God. Do we have stats on how many were caused by Hamas? Data and casualties. Here we go. From the OCHA.org. Thank you. Palestinian fatalities. Fatalities by region, fatalities by community, fatalities by type of weapon, fatalities by age and sex. Do we know do we know who did it? Why is this not coming up on Google? Why is Google not giving any result? Like, if the answer was none, you'd think Google would give that result, right? Oh, here we go. During periods of conflict, or here we go. Information is available regarding Palestinians killed by Hamas outside the context of the larger conflict with Israel. Though precise figures are difficult to confirm, no reliable reporting indicates a specific tally for Palestinians killed solely by Hamas, as many deaths are the result of a larger ongoing conflict and are not attributed to one side alone. During periods of conflict with Israel in 2009 and 2014, Hamas was documented as having extrajudicially executed and tortured Palestinians accused of collaborating with Israel. At least 18 people were executed in 2009, and at least 23 were executed in 2014. The victims were often members of rival groups like Fatah. Crackdowns of internal dissent. In March 2025, Hamas began brutally cracking down on protests in Gaza, including beating, torturing, and killing Palestinian activists. Well, that's not great. In June 2025, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, an Israeli-backed aid group, accused Hamas of attacking a bus carrying Palestinian aid workers, killing at least 5. Hamas claims the men were killed because they were collaborators with Israel. I remember hearing about that, and all of the lefties were saying that, A, Israel provides no aid to Gaza, and B, that Hamas never attacks any aid going into Palestinians. Well, that's cool. Remember, a lot of the information you hear about this stuff radiates out of Hasan's circle and is misinformation. Always good to brush up on, like, actual news sources every once in a while.
This has been morally indefensible. But the reason he said it is clear. Condemning Hamas's acts would have disrupted the binary. It would have forced his audience to deal with the uncomfortable truth that atrocities can happen on both sides of a conflict. And that kind of complexity breaks the emotional narrative he's built on his platform. This is the danger of turning everything into a black and white moral story. You stop looking for the truth, and you stop thinking critically, and you start defending whatever fits the narrative, even if it means turning a blind eye to violence, abuse, or injustice. He calls his platform political commentary. It's not. It's pure indoctrination. When you have an audience, especially one made up of young, impressionable, and often disillusioned people, you have a responsibility. And that responsibility is to constantly try to seek the truth together, to try to stay open, and to try to be teachable. If you build your influence on moral certainty without humility, you're leading people toward a trap, and the ones who follow you will suffer for it. When emotion replaces thinking, and complex ideas get reduced to black and white morality, the natural result is tribalism, and Hasan has mastered it. Nearly every debate he engages in is framed as us versus them. There's always an enemy. Conservatives, liberals, landlords, centrists, radlibs, bootlickers, incels, you name it. And if you disagree with him, even slightly, you're not just wrong, you're morally corrupt and you get placed in one of these categories.
I like this video. I thought it was really good. There will, of course, be a link down below in the description when this goes out as a video for you guys to go drop a like and a comment and a sub on it if you want to. Highly recommend it. We like to send support over to channels like this. Hasan had a terrorist song playing to a streamer. Hasan fans will try to get you, man. Dude, they're always up my asshole. What do you mean, Kratom? They do not like me. Although, to be fair, many of them probably don't know of me, so maybe as they start to, like, know me more, they'll really grow to hate me? Who knows? Hard to say. Regardless, though, there's actually one more clip I wanted to show you all. That was a good video, but I'd say the best video made as, like, a criticism of Hasan is still Dylan Burns. Dylan Burns, when he was criticizing Hasan and his takes on Ukraine. Oh, here's a short of it, actually. Here's a really good, just short clip.
Is 1000% an aggressor outside fucking force, okay? Russia is not. Russia annexing its own territory full of its own fucking people is not the same as NATO being like, we're gonna turn your country into a fucking base and put literal fucking military bases and rockets into your country.
Saying that Russia is grabbing their territories is a total bullshit. They are grabbing the territories of what, Soviet Union, the empire that collapsed? People there identified themselves as Ukrainians, especially my generation.
Hasan here basically called me and Rick specifically literally Russians. He called us Russians just because we are from the Russified areas that were
But that's Russian propaganda, right?
Yes, exactly, thank you, that's where I'm going. The repeating of Russian narrative. They say those people are Russians. They speak Russian, that means they're Russian. They're part of the Russian world. This is the imperialism, colonialism that this guy supposedly hates.
Very good video. You should watch the full thing. That is far from the best part. There are many great moments there. And that's just one of the clips they respond to. Anyway, folks, listen, I'm not trying to be a hater, okay? I just, what really upsets me isn't that so many people like and defend Hasan. Like, I'd be able to come to terms with that and just be like, you know, it is what it is. Just like I do when, you know, a Nazi like Nick Fuentes is popular, or someone like Andrew Tate is popular. You know that the majority of their audience, if not all of them, know what they're there for. They know what they're getting. Like, you're not going to be like, hey, did you see Andrew Tate said this? And they're gonna be like, wait, what? I didn't know he said that. I didn't know he believed that. What the fuck? How did I not know this? Like, you know, at the maybe I'll still watch him, but like, you know, at least I'm glad I know that now. You know, like, you're not gonna imagine that scenario is gonna happen with any Andrew Tate fan or Nick Fuentes fan or whatever, right? But with Hasan, so often I see genuine people, and it feels like they have to be genuine, saying that, you know, in response to me referencing, say, for example, Hasan's Russia defense, he didn't defend Russia. What are you talking about? They do not believe that Hasan has done many of the things that he's done, and that is why they defend him. They're not like Trump supporters, where they know what he's done and they defend it because he's Trump. That's not, I don't think, what most Hasan fans are like. I think many of them don't know much more than half the shit that he has been caught on video doing, and I think maybe a lot of them would have a different opinion if they knew the full breadth of why people don't like Hasan, not just why Hasan says people don't like him. Just my thoughts. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed this video, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way, please consider leaving a like and a comment down below, maybe even a hype as well to boost the channel and the algorithm. Perhaps subscribe and ring the bell icon if you want to turn on all notifications and have YouTube tell you when I go live or upload new videos in the future as well. It really does help a lot. And of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, follow my social medias, linked down below in the description, particularly my fan Discord, as that is the main hub of my fan base and community. And on top of that, I host weekly gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and movie nights there every week on Friday, so join if you don't want to miss anything. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.